I'll never forget the day Sam and Colby received that mysterious invitation. We were sitting in our usual spot, brainstorming ideas for their next video, when suddenly my phone rang. I picked it up, expecting it to be one of their fans or maybe a friend asking about an upcoming project. But instead, I heard a low, raspy voice on the other end, claiming to be from an organization they'd never heard of before. The voice was cryptic and seemed to know far too much about their interests in the paranormal. It spoke of ancient civilizations, esoteric symbology, and hidden knowledge that only a select few were privy to. The voice claimed that Sam and Colby had been chosen for this journey, that they possessed a unique blend of skills and curiosity that would make them perfect candidates to explore the unknown. I remember feeling a shiver run down my spine as the voice dropped a series of coordinates on their doorstep, an old warehouse on the outskirts of town, supposedly where they could begin their research. The voice warned them about the dangers that lay ahead, hinting at forces beyond human comprehension waiting to pounce. But it was too late. Sam and Colby were already hooked, their eyes gleaming with excitement as they read through the cryptic message. They looked at each other, a silent understanding passing between them. This was going to be bigger than just another video. Little did we know that our lives would never be the same. We spent the next few days devouring books on occult symbology and mysticism, searching for any mention of the mysterious figure who had sent them the invitation. We scoured online forums, attended lectures at local universities, and even conducted our own experiments in an attempt to uncover more about the organization that claimed to have chosen us. The further we delved into the world of esoteric symbols and ancient civilizations, the more we became convinced that there was truth to the mysterious figure's words. Our research led us to a secluded site on the outskirts of town, an abandoned warehouse that had been shrouded in mystery for decades. The building loomed before us, its walls covered in a tangled mess of vines and overgrown vegetation. We exchanged nervous glances as we approached the entrance, the creaking of the old wooden door echoing through the stillness like a warning. As we stepped inside, a chill ran down my spine. The air was thick with dust, and cobwebs clung to every surface, as if the very atmosphere itself was trying to suffocate us. We began to explore, our footsteps echoing off the walls as we uncovered hidden rooms and secret passages. Each new discovery brought us closer to the truth, but also deeper into a web of secrets and lies that seemed designed to keep us from uncovering the truth. And yet, we pressed on, driven by an insatiable curiosity about what lay at the heart of this abandoned place. Little did we know, our research was just beginning to scratch the surface of a far more sinister reality. As we invested further into our research, strange occurrences started to plague our investigation team. Equipment malfunctioned, eerie noises were heard in the dead of night, and unsettling visions began to appear in our minds. I would catch glimpses of a figure out of the corner of my eye, only to turn and find no one there. Colby reported hearing whispers on his phone, messages from an unknown number that made no sense. Sam started to experience vivid, disturbing dreams that seemed all too real. We began to suspect that we were not alone in the warehouse, that some presence was watching us, waiting for us to uncover the truth. Our team's dynamic changed as trust began to fray and paranoia set in. We became increasingly isolated, each of us withdrawn into our own thoughts and fears. The lines between reality and madness started to blur, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being herded towards some unknown purpose. One night, Colby woke me with a start, his eyes wide with fear. "I saw it again," he whispered, "the figure from my dreams. It was standing right in front of us, watching us." I tried to reassure him, but the words felt hollow on my lips. We knew then that we had to get out, but something kept us rooted to the spot. Perhaps it was curiosity, or perhaps it was fear. Whatever it was, we knew that we couldn't escape the warehouse until we uncovered its darkest secrets. As we delved deeper into the warehouse's mysteries, our experiences became increasingly anomalous. Events that defied explanation began to challenge our perception of reality. We discovered cryptic messages scrawled on walls, seemingly written in a code that none of us could decipher. The symbols appeared to be a mix of ancient languages and alchemical notation, hinting at the presence of an otherworldly force lurking nearby. Colby swore he saw shadowy figures darting around the edges of his vision, while Sam reported hearing whispers in a language he couldn't understand. I started to feel like I was losing my grip on sanity, as if the warehouse was playing tricks on me. One night, we decided to set up cameras and audio recorders to capture any evidence of the paranormal activity. We spent hours reviewing the footage, but it was only when Colby's camera captured a strange, unexplained movement that we realized something was seriously amiss. The image showed a figure, tall and imposing, standing just beyond the edge of frame. It was as if the figure had been there all along, watching us with an unblinking gaze. We were convinced that we had stumbled into something much larger than ourselves, something that threatened to upend our understanding of the universe. As we continued to investigate, we began to realize that the warehouse was a nexus point for multiple dimensions, a hub through which entities from other worlds could pass. The messages on the walls, the strange occurrences, it was all part of a grand design, one that we were only beginning to comprehend. As we explored the abandoned ruin, we stumbled upon a vast underground chamber filled with artifacts and relics that revealed the true extent of the ancient evil's power. The air was thick with the stench of decay and corruption, and I could feel the weight of centuries of malevolent energy bearing down on me. Colby's eyes widened as he gazed upon the twisted creations, his voice barely above a whisper. This is what they were trying to achieve. Sam nodded in agreement, her face pale with concern. We wandered through the chamber, taking in the disturbing relics that told the tale of an ancient civilization consumed by madness and ambition. The walls were adorned with frescoes depicting unspeakable rituals and human sacrifices, while the floor was littered with the remnants of twisted experiments gone wrong. In the center of the room, a massive altar loomed, covered in cryptic symbols that seemed to shift and writhe like living things. Colby reached out a trembling hand to touch one of the symbols, and as soon as he did, the air around us began to distort and ripple. The ground shook beneath our feet, and I felt the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. Suddenly, visions flooded my mind, scenes of ancient rituals, forbidden knowledge, and unspeakable horrors that lurked in the shadows. It was as if the symbols had unlocked a door within me, revealing secrets that were meant to remain hidden. We stumbled backward, our minds reeling from the revelations. "This is what we're up against," Colby whispered, his eyes wide with terror. "We have to get out of here now." But it was too late. The visions had awakened something within me, a power that stirred and churned like a living thing. I knew then that our journey was far from over, and that the true horrors were only just beginning to surface. As we ventured deeper into the ruins, Sam and Colby stumbled upon an ancient text that hinted at a pact between powerful entities. The text spoke of their own involvement in this dark ritual, their names etched into the pages like a curse. The words seemed to leap off the page, speaking directly to us. "We called forth the old ones," it read, "and they answered with power beyond our understanding." I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized that we were not just mere explorers, but participants in this ancient and malevolent ritual. Colby's voice was barely above a whisper as he spoke the words aloud. "We didn't know what we were getting into," he said, his eyes wide with horror. "We thought it was just curiosity, but now—" He trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Sam's face was pale, her eyes fixed on the text as if she saw something there that I couldn't. "This is our fault," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We unleashed this power upon the world." I felt a wave of despair wash over me, followed by a sense of determination. We had to make things right, no matter the cost. But as we delved deeper into the text, I realized that it was too late for that. The ritual had been set in motion, and now all we could do was hope to survive its consequences. The words on the page seemed to shift and writhe, like living things. "We must make an offering," it read, "to appease the old ones and avoid their wrath." I knew then that our journey had taken a dark and sinister turn. We were no longer just explorers, but sacrifices in a twisted game of power and survival. As they deciphered the ancient language, they uncovered evidence that pointed to a sinister plot threatening not only themselves, but humanity as a whole. The text revealed a dark conspiracy involving powerful individuals who sought to harness the power of the Old Ones for their own gain. Colby's eyes widened as he read the words aloud, his voice trembling with urgency. "It's not just us they're after," he said. "It's everyone." Sam's face paled, her eyes scanning the pages with a mixture of horror and determination. "We have to stop them," she whispered, her voice firm. I felt a surge of resolve course through my veins, my mind racing with the implications of what we had discovered. The ancient text revealed a shocking truth. The ritual was not just a simple summoning, but a key part of a much larger plan to unlock the secrets of the Old Ones and harness their power for human gain. The evidence pointed to a small group of powerful individuals who were secretly manipulating world events from behind the scenes. Their goal was to unleash the power of the Old Ones upon the world, plunging humanity into chaos and destruction. Colby's voice rose in outrage as he read on, his words dripping with condemnation. "We can't let them do this," he said, his eyes blazing with determination. "We have to stop them, no matter what it takes." Sam nodded in agreement, her face set in a resolute expression. "We owe it to humanity to try," she said, her voice firm. I knew then that our journey had taken on a new level of urgency. We were no longer just explorers trying to uncover the secrets of the past. We were warriors fighting against a powerful enemy who sought to destroy everything we held dear. As we delved deeper into the heart of darkness, the boundaries between reality and madness began to blur. The air grew thick with an otherworldly energy, making it hard to distinguish what was real from what was just a product of our own fevered imagination. Colby's eyes took on a glassy sheen as he stared into the void, his voice barely above a whisper. "What's real?" he asked, his words echoing off the walls. Sam's face twisted in a mixture of fear and confusion. "I don't know," she replied, her voice laced with uncertainty. We stood there, frozen in time, as the abyss seemed to yawn open before us like a chasm of madness. The world around us began to distort and writhe, like a living thing trying to break free from its constraints. I felt my grip on reality begin to slip, my mind reeling with the implications of what we had uncovered. We were no longer just explorers, but vessels for some ancient and malevolent force that threatened to consume us whole. The darkness closed in around us, a palpable presence that seemed to seep into our very souls. I knew then that we were playing with forces beyond our control, and that the line between sanity and insanity was perilously thin. As the abyss seemed to deepen, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being pulled towards some terrible truth, one that would shatter our minds and reduce us to nothing more than shattered fragments of humanity. The stakes escalate as Sam and Colby realize the true extent of the threat they've unleashed upon themselves. Panic sets in, and tensions rise within the team. The air is thick with an almost palpable sense of dread, as if the very fabric of reality is about to tear apart. Every creak of the old building, every groan of the wind makes them jump, their nerves frayed to the breaking point. Colby's eyes dart back and forth, searching for a way out, any way out, but there is none. The darkness seems to be closing in around them, suffocating them with its crushing weight. Sam's face is set in a mask of determination, her jaw clenched in a fierce effort to keep her fears at bay. But even she cannot hide the terror that grips her heart, the knowledge that they are playing with forces beyond their control. The team's dynamics begin to fray as old wounds and fears surface. Trust is broken, and the bonds that once held them together begin to unravel. It's clear that they will not make it out of this alive, that the darkness has already claimed too many souls. And yet, even in the face of overwhelming odds, they press on, driven by a desperate need to survive, to find a way back into the light. But can they? Or will they succumb to the crushing weight of their own fears and become just another statistic in the abyss's ever-growing tally? In a desperate bid to unravel the mystery, they find themselves trapped in a labyrinthine structure filled with ever-shifting corridors and impossible geometry. The air is thick with the scent of decay and rot, and the walls seem to press in on them from all sides. Every step forward feels like a step back, as if the labyrinth is shifting and reforming itself to keep them from escaping. Colby's voice is laced with desperation as he calls out for Sam, but there is no response. The silence is oppressive, a physical presence that weighs down on their shoulders. I stumble forward, my heart racing with fear, as I try to navigate the twisting corridors. But every door I open leads only to more of the same, an endless maze of identical-looking walls and doors. I begin to wonder if we're even in a real place anymore, or if this is just some kind of twisted dream. The labyrinth seems to be playing tricks on us, making us question our own perceptions of reality. I glance over at Colby, who's walking ahead of me, his eyes fixed intently on the path ahead. He looks different. His features are blurred, as if he's being pulled apart by some unseen force. I feel a jolt of fear run through me, and I reach out to touch him, but my hand passes through his arm as if he's made of smoke. "Colby," I call out, but there is no response. I'm alone in this endless maze with no way out. As the labyrinth closes in around them, Sam and Colby confront their darkest fears and the true horror that lurks in the shadows. They face a final showdown with the entity that has been awakened by their meddling. The air is thick with an eerie presence, making every breath feel like a threat to their sanity. Colby's eyes are wide with terror as he takes in the sight of Sam, who looks different. Her skin is deathly pale and her eyes have taken on a malevolent glow. "Sam," he whispers, his voice trembling with fear, but she doesn't respond. Instead, she begins to laugh, a cold, mirthless sound that sends shivers down Colby's spine. The laughter grows louder, more intense until it's almost deafening. And then, in an instant, the laughter stops. Sam's eyes snap back into focus, and she regards Colby with a cold, calculating gaze. "We're not who you think we are," she says, her voice dripping with malice. "We're not even human." The words hang in the air like a challenge, daring Colby to deny them. But he's paralyzed with fear, unable to move or speak. All he can do is stare at Sam, his mind reeling with the implications of what she's saying. And then, just as suddenly as it began, everything goes black. The world around them dissolves into chaos, and Colby feels himself being pulled apart by an unseen force. When he comes to, he finds himself back in the beginning, standing in front of the door that led to the labyrinth. But something is different. The door is open, and a figure stands waiting for him on the other side. It's Sam, but she's not alone. She's surrounded by an army of twisted, nightmarish creatures that seem to be made of the very darkness itself. And at their center, standing tall and unblinking, is the true horror that Colby has been running from all along. The truth is finally revealed. They are mere pawns in an ancient game of cosmic manipulation. The entity's plan for humanity was always to consume it whole, and Sam and Colby were mere sacrifices in its grand design. The labyrinth, the door, the endless corridors, all just a part of the game, a twisted maze designed to keep them trapped and helpless. As the truth sinks in, Sam and Colby feel their minds begin to unravel. They are no longer the heroes they thought they were. Instead, they are mere pawns in a cosmic struggle that has been playing out for eons. The entity's plan is clear. It will use humanity as fuel to power its own ascension to godhood. And Sam and Colby, with their meddling, have unwittingly accelerated this process. The weight of their failure crushing them, they can only stand by and watch as the world around them burns. The entity's presence grows stronger, its power coursing through every molecule of air. It is a being of pure energy, ancient and eternal, with a hunger that cannot be satiated. And yet in the end, it was not the entity that destroyed humanity but its own hubris. For in seeking to consume all, it forgot the one thing it had forgotten, the power of love. A spark of hope flickers to life within Sam and Colby, a flame that burns bright with defiance. They may be mere pawns, but they are not powerless. And as the entity's energy reaches its peak, they make a final, desperate bid for freedom. The outcome is far from certain, but one thing is clear: only one of them will survive to tell the tale.